You're listening to The Pump Fake. With your host, Jarrett Bailey.
All right, and welcome into the latest edition of the Pump Fake, everybody. Jarrett Bailey with you as always. Joining me today, making his Pump Fake debut. Say his name and he appears, I believe, in my friend Tucker Franklin. But we look like, I don't know, we look like a before and after if I started like lifting heavier.
Yeah, we kind of look like evolutions of Pokemon. It's kind of how it is. It's like evolutions of Pokemon. I'm with it. Appreciate the intro. Appreciate you having me on, man. Excited to sit down and just talk some ball with you here for a little bit.
Yeah, and anybody who's followed me for any amount of time knows that our mutual buddy Matt Verderame is practically another co-host of this show. Co-host a podcast with you, the football show over at KC Sports Network. So, very glad to be doing something with you. Finally, we met for the first time in person at the Combine this past year. We've kind of built up a little bit of a buddyship on Twitter. So this should be a fun show.
Absolutely.
So today, the topic that me and Tuck will be going through, the NFL schedule release will be in a couple days. We're recording this at 11:30-ish Eastern time on May 12th. The schedule will become official May 14th at 8 Eastern time. So before then, we're going to go through some just wish list things that we have for the NFL schedule. And that will be how we coordinate today. But if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. If you're listening as a podcast, leave a review. So, buddy, I'll let you go first and kind of start us off. What is something that you want to see either more of, less of on the schedule for 2025?
So, look, I'm in Kansas City. We cover the Chiefs at KC Sports Network here. So a lot of things I think about are from a Chiefs perspective. And I know I'm not ignorant to it. I know that people are tired of the Kansas City Chiefs. I get it. Sure. I would be too. I was tired of the New England Patriots when they were doing their thing. I totally understand it, right? My biggest thing on my wish list is please don't put them on Christmas again. I do not want to see the Chiefs on Christmas again. I don't want to have to spend a third consecutive Christmas out here trying to worry about what this Chiefs team is doing. Now, last year, they played the Steelers last year. It was a little bit better than the year before where they played the Raiders and got their ass kicked at home. That was not very fun. That kind of ruined Christmas. But I don't want to have the looming dread and looming fear over my head over Christmas while I'm opening presents with my family about, oh gosh, how's this team going to play today? Like that is one of the worst. I know that the Steelers got to do it last year, but 2 years in a row with them being on Christmas, I think if they get on the third year, you're getting toward you're encroaching on tradition territory. And I don't want that. I was
just going to say that. Do you think that they'll make it a thing like the Cowboys and Lions on Thanksgiving where they just play every Christmas?
Clark Hunt wants to make it a thing. That's the thing.
Dear.
And he wants to host it every year too. But look, NFL prides themselves on diversity and being an equal opportunity employer. I think they should really show it here. And by putting other teams on Christmas, they should not have the Chiefs do it every single year like they want to do it for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I know some people will be listening and be like, oh, well, it's your job is to cover football. That's fun. But it's not just about us having to cover the game, right? Imagine how many workers at the stadium, like the concession stands, the parking attendants, the security, all of those people have to now not work on Christmas because they want to do or they have to work on Christmas because they want to do a home game every year on Christmas. I don't know, man. Especially when it's on a Wednesday. The Wednesday game was garbage. It's going to be on a Tuesday one of these years, and the NFL's going to try to spin it to where they can get a game on Christmas again. But that's the thing I don't want to see. The NFL is already starting to take way too many dates away from other sports, even college football. They're taking dates away from. I just want to see them. They've already taken Christmas away, and I don't think they're going to give it back. They're already playing for 3 games, but I don't want the Chiefs on Christmas. I'm sure a lot of people listening to the podcast don't want to see the Chiefs on Christmas either. I'm sure they'd rather watch other teams on Christmas.
Yeah, fans of the Chiefs are going to be pleading with Roger Goodell. It's going to be like that trade meme where it's like, hey, can I interest you in the Jacksonville Jaguars actually on Christmas? Because we're tired of this. I think Christmas games as a whole are dumb. And you pointed out, we cover the league for a living, and that's a very great thing for us to do, and very happy to do it. But just the constant, like they're going to try to have a game every day of the week at some point, and that is just too much. And I think that going with a Christmas triple header is going very much overboard with it. I'm not a huge basketball guy, but save that for the NBA. Like, they can do the Christmas thing. Like, Christmas has always been like a basketball thing, and now I think that they're encroaching a little bit too much when it comes to all of this. So I agree. I think just get rid of the Christmas games altogether. They're not going to, but that, if we're talking wish list things, that's certainly one that I would put on mine as well. Okay. All right. So my first one personally is enough of the NFC East in prime time, specifically the Giants. I'm so tired of every year the Giants being in a standalone game like 4 or 5 times. And like the other two, like, I understand Dallas and Philadelphia, like big brands, and obviously Philadelphia is defending Super Bowl champion, so they're going to have a lot of primetime slots, whatever, that's fine. Dallas, it's a bit obnoxious with how many primetime games the Cowboys have. Like, we're talking about like 6 a year that they have. It's too many. Like, Tirico and Collinsworth may as well get second homes in the Fort Worth area because they're always there. So I think that for me personally, I would like to see less of the NFC East in standalone and primetime games, but specifically the Giants, man. Like, we see them every year, and for the last decade plus, they've been miserable. They've been bad. They've been boring, and we're subjected to watching this tire fire of a franchise in standalone Sunday night games, usually against like the other NFC East teams. Like, we're going to see a Cowboys Giants game on a Monday night at some point, and Aikman and Buck are going to have to try to, like, by the midway through the second quarter, it's going to be a 20-point game. Aikman and Buck are going to have to find something else to talk about just to get through the rest of the night because they don't want to be there either. Enough of putting the Giants in prime time.
Yeah, that my second one kind of piggyback off of that. I said enough Cowboys Sunday night games. I got a little bit more specific.
Yes.
I don't like to see the Cowboys are always in Sunday night football. I want to see other teams take on Sunday night football.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, Sunday night football, as a Chiefs fan and just kind of the aesthetics of football, Sunday night football is my favorite. The theme song to Tirico and Collinsworth, I love that announcing duo. I know that's probably a hot take, but a lot of people don't.
No, you're spot on. That's a great commentating duo. I get kind of tired of hearing the hate for Chris Collinsworth. Like, yeah, he could be a bit much at some time, but I like him, and Tirico's great.
Yes, and I think especially when it was Al Michaels, that pairing, the Sunday Night Football mixed with the theme song when it gets a little bit chilly in the air, and you have school tomorrow, and you just hearing that, you gotta kind of get the Sunday scaries a little bit. For some reason, I love that feeling of hearing Sunday Night Football, the theme song when it's chilly and it's dark outside. You probably had a pot of chili, warming up for dinner. So like, there's something about Sunday Night Football that I love so much. And then it's the Dallas Cowboys. And then I just like, well, I don't want to watch this anymore. If it's the Dallas Cowboys, I don't want to watch them play football. They're not, I know that, they just traded for George Pickens. They weren't George Pickens away from being a competitive football team. So like, they're still not going to be very good. I don't want to see the Cowboys. I know the Cowboys just got the season opening game against the Eagles.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to have to see them the first game of the year. But by the way, what a dud. Of all the things you could do with Philadelphia on their schedule, you just go with the default. All right, just throw the Cowboys on there. Dallas played in the opening game in 2022, I want to say, too, against Tampa. And in 21, they played multiple opening games against Tampa because the first game of the year for Sunday Night Football was in Tampa in 2022, and in 21 it was in Dallas. So like, so many times we see Dallas on Sunday Night Football, especially to start the year, and it's exhausting.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest pet peeves is like, I go to look at the schedule for the week and it's Dallas again on Sunday Night Football. And it's just like, golly, can we figure this out? So I understand that like they're, I'll say it in air quotes, America's team. Yeah. And I understand that like they got a big brand and Dallas is a large market. But just like you mentioned with the Giants, I mean, or honestly, even the Jets, like you don't need markets. Like you don't need those big markets anymore. The NFL is kind of its own thing. And Kansas City had Kansas City's not the largest market that they have, but they have a large viewership when it comes to the Chiefs. Use that as a lot of example. Green Bay kind of the same way. I think it's going to be very interesting how they do schedule this out, but please do not give them 6 Sunday Night Football games.
And I'll keep piggybacking off this. No more of 6 Sunday night games or Monday night games for the Jets. No more extreme prime. The Bears are always in prime time. Now, granted, this year they could be a lot more fun, and I think they will be more fun. But we lived through so many bad Bears football teams having and it's always the one game a year where it's in Lambeau. And so we'll just put that on a Monday night. That qualifies. No, bro, the Packers are going to beat them by 80 and we're going to be bored. Yeah. So I like the point that you made, markets don't matter. The NFL is its own market. And we've seen so many small markets, yours in specific, really rise to be, the cream of the crop. So enough putting bad New York teams in primetime consistently. It just doesn't make sense from a viewer perspective. And it is very exhausting knowing going into the week is oh God, I got to watch, Jets Patriots on a Monday night. God almighty.
Right. But here's on the other side. I want to see the bad matchups on Thursday. I want you to put.
Dude, yes. Just make Thursday a joke. Make it a bit.
You got to put bad on bad, because sometimes those bad on bad games create good things.
Yeah,
you got to put bad on Thursday, good on Sunday night, Monday night. But I think that you have to kind of keep the bit going with Thursday Night Football because it's already on Amazon Prime.
Right.
What are we doing here? Next, it's going to be on Tubi, and you got to have a paid Tubi subscription or something like that.
The first NFL game streaming on TikTok.
Right? Yeah, I'm sure they're not far.
I was gonna say I'm not trying to give Raj any ideas here. Let's not do that. Maybe let's stop doing that.
Of it. But yeah, no, that's the thing that I think that they need to keep Thursday night very unserious. Much like the Maction games on Tuesday, college football. Since they're trying to already steal college football and 95% of what it has, just keep the unserious football midweek. I think it's perfect. The bye weeks too, we could talk. I mean, they're not going to get 2 bye weeks this year, right? I think we're hurling towards a world where we do get 2 bye weeks. I think that's good, and you should obviously have a bye week after your Thursday night game or leading into your Thursday night game. Either way, but I do think that you just need to be as ridiculous as you can. Jags Bears on a Thursday night would be insane. It would go so hard. I didn't think they're on the same schedule this year, but I think that would go so hard.
I agree. I want to see just a bad comedy opening match for the week. Give me, a blindfold match on a Thursday night every week just to start. That's fine with me, man. It can be stupid. It can be, and like you said, bad on bad. I mean, it's even competition at that point. You might get, better football than, making us watch, I don't know. What was a matchup last year? The Falcons and the Chiefs were a primetime game, and I was oh my God, man! I don't want to watch this. It's not good.
Sunday night game after the Falcons had a Monday night game, I think in Pittsburgh. Yeah. I think the Falcons had a Monday night game in Pittsburgh, and then came back.
It was Philadelphia. Philadelphia.
Okay, I knew it was up in that area, but no, I do think that that's one of the things where it's just just lean into it. You got to lean into it at this point. You've already created this, so it's going to be harder to kind of go away from it. So just lean into it.
I do appreciate the fact that Al Michaels has precisely 0 shits left to give, and if a game is bad, he'll let you know it's bad. I think it was the Giants and the Cowboys were playing on a Thursday night, and Daniel Jones just threw some awful pass, and Michaels was oh my God! And then by midway through the third quarter, him and Herbstreit are talking about baseball players from the Marlins in '97. It's all right, I get this is kind of a meta fourth wall breaking broadcast, but I can get behind that.
My favorite one, before we totally move on from Thursday night games, was the Broncos and Colts when they were 3-3 or 6-6 or something like that, and they went into overtime. As early Russell Wilson era, and he threw a pick in the end zone, I think, as how that game ended. Insane. Just another just ridiculous football game. And I need to see those on Thursdays.
Yeah, you see KJ Hamler just ripping off his helmet at the end zone, just screaming at Russell Wilson. Oh, dude. And I think... I don't know if it was the same year, but it was also a Thursday night game, the Bears-Commanders game that was 12-10 and unwatchable. Al Michaels is given some stinkers over the past couple of years, the poor guy.
Doesn't deserve it, yeah.
No, he doesn't. He really doesn't. As my light goes out here, let me turn that back on here in a second. But my next one is, and look, this is very much the fantasy wish list part of this coming in. Enough overseas games, man. This is unbearable. I am so tired of there being we're a year away from getting an announcement. Oh, the first NFL game played in Pakistan. I'm all right, Raj, chill, bro. We don't need this. We don't need 8 games in London. We don't need multiple Germany games. We don't need a game in Madrid. We don't need it. If you want to do 1 game in London a year, that's fine. Let the Jaguars do it. That can be their thing. I don't need to see a month straight of London games plus a Germany game thrown in there. It's too much. I don't want to wake up at 9:30 or I mean, I'll be up at 9:30. I don't want to have to watch 13 hours straight of football. Like, give me my mornings, let me chill, and then I'll be locked in. I don't need to see a bunch of London, Germany, Spain. Like, enough is enough.
That was kind of my next one too, about the international games, because I think we've lost the plot. I really do think we've lost the plot when it comes to the international games. We had a game last year where green is not a good color in Brazil, and they said, let's put 2 green teams down there.
That's not good.
They said let's not leave the hotel room. Like, hey guys, you're gonna play in Brazil, but
I forgot about that.
Leave the hotel room. And like, what are we doing at that point? And the Chiefs are rumored to play the Chargers down there. It hasn't been officially announced yet, but it's been a rumor for a very long time. The Chiefs Chargers in Brazil on that opening Friday. And as a Chiefs fan, like, that's fine, because like it was already going to be a road game, and the Chargers will host, like, whatever. It's the same time zone too, which is kind of nice, as the Central Time Zone. So there's
really?
Yeah, and not having to get up.
I didn't know that's how that was coordinated.
Yeah, crazy, right? So you don't have to get up at like 9:30 when the Chiefs played in Germany. Had to watch them play the Dolphins, and that game was not very good. That's always the worst too. When you wake up for these games, and then they're bad football games.
Yeah,
it's like shocker. Like, you had a team fly 12 hours across the country, across the world, and they're going to play a bad football game. And no one is surprised by that. And now they're trying to do them in Australia. And like, I don't know how that's going to work. That has to probably be a season opening game for time acclimation purposes. But like, man, we've lost the plot. I do think that, you know, I understand when the Mexico City and the London all came out, like, those are all really close. Why don't they play any in Canada? That's kind of interesting too. I know
the Bills used to. Yeah,
the Bills did that little at the was it Rogers Center what they did it?
Yeah, it might have been, because that's where the Blue Jays play, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. So I know that they did that for a little bit, but like, they should play in like around America if they wanted a Canadian team or a Mexican team. Like, that's a lot more feasible than doing a team in London like they're trying to talk about, or the NFL Europe that they did try and it didn't work and then ended up having to fold. But I do think that we've just kind of lost the plot with all these international games. I understand wanting to grow the game, but like, you can grow the game here just fine.
And it doesn't need grown anymore, frankly. Like, it's the biggest thing in the world. Like, you did it. Great job. Stop doing it. You don't need to do any more international games. Like, the Canada one, Mexico, like, that's at least still the continental North America. That's fine. Do those, whatever. Traveling halfway across the world so the Jaguars can play the Bears. We don't need it. We really do not need it. And I think that, like, I think they should just go away altogether. Like, enough of just, I don't think they should do them at all. I think it's stupid. No offense to, you know, our friends over in England who might be watching and listening to this show, but like,
I think it's fair. Like, I mean, look, the Jaguars did create a large following out there for not sucking, I guess, when they were there, but then sucking when they get home, whatever. You have to think that Omar Khan, right? Is that his name? Or is that the
Steelers owner? Or Steelers GM?
You got to be thinking that, wait, no, who's the Jaguars owner?
Tony Khan. Tony Khan is the AEW. Sean Khan is the Jaguars owner. Wow, we really just tiptoed around a bunch of Khans here.
Man, we are. They're not related, are they? Omar and Shad and Tony,
I don't
are they
think
all
so.
okay? They're all separate. I think Khan is probably a pretty common last name.
It must be.
Yeah, it must be like Smith in America or like Johnson. Like, it must be like that.
Right.
But I do think that you got to be thinking like, hey, maybe we just move the team over there. And I'm sure that those talks have been happening. I'm okay with, like, it might be just me being just like wanting to complain, but like, the time zone's the big gripe for me. It's like, man, I don't really want to wake up at 8:30 and watch a football game. That's not going to be a good football game, at least in like Mexico City, Brazil, Canada. Like, they're time zones that you're used to. Like, you're used to having to do like maybe a West Coast hockey game zone. You want to stay up a little bit later. That's fine. Or East Coast. If you're on the West Coast, there's a anything that really goes on, but you're used to those time zones already. Having to wake up so early, like, this is very complaining of me. I understand, but like, I don't want to wake up that early to watch football.
It's rightful complaining though, and I think it was I think Connor Orr said it on the Heat the Call podcast, where he's like, that would be like America taking like a huge matchup between like Real Madrid and like Chelsea or whoever, and like saying, actually, we're gonna do that in Philadelphia, so we're gonna take your thing and bring it over here. So I liked that point that he made. It's fair. I don't think we should do any international games. I think it's a pain in the ass for the players and everybody involved, and it's largely for nothing because, again, the game doesn't need grown anymore. All it does is like, okay, fans in London can go see a game. Watch it on TV. I think we need to get rid of it. Do you have what's your next one? Let's keep this ball rolling here.
So, okay, this might be an old man yells at cloud take from me.
I'm an old man yells at cloud, so that's fine.
Perfect. I understand that like the schedule release has become kind of like a big deal, right? Like people like there's a whole program for it now where you can watch it all get released. I like the videos on social media that teams put out. I think they're very creative, very clever. I love letting, the creatives people do creative things. I think that's phenomenal. But just release it all at one time. I don't need on Monday to have Fox and Amazon announcing a game. And I don't need on Tuesday ESPN announcing a game. And I don't need all international games to be unveiled the day before the schedule's supposed to announce. And I need another game to be announced on CBS mornings. I don't need that. Just send me an email, shoot it in a PDF. I don't know. You can still do your videos and everything, but like, just release it all at one time. I understand wanting to build anticipation. Like the NFL has done a really good job at making mundane things, extravagant events. Look at the NFL draft. They're trying to do it again with the schedule release. No other league does this with either with their draft or their schedule release. It is impressive that they have built up so much anticipation, but just put out a press release, man. Like that's all I really needed. Just give me a press release. I think the cool videos are fine. You can still tweet those out. Those are still great. Keep that part of it. But I don't need the slow, methodical leaks. Just give it to me all at once, like a buffet. That's all I need. I
agree with that. And like you said, you can still have all the creative people from different, respective teams do the fun schedule videos. But yeah, trying to turn this thing into like its own separate event where we have like a panel talking about the schedule release, that is a bit much. So no, I think that's a perfectly reasonable take to have. Because like you can still do all of that stuff, like talking about the games, which we're all going to do. But do it, the day after it comes out, let it digest, and then you can lead off your next morning with all that stuff rather than trying to turn it into a primetime event and have people tune into, oh man, I wonder who the Chiefs are going to play in week 9. Like, dude, just put it all out there and we can all find out together. And I think that's a perfectly reasonable take.
Yeah. I mean, look, it might be. I realize that, like, I think I'm almost 27. As a 27-year-old kid, I mean, that might not be something that is very popular, right? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people like these programs of these people breaking it down. But if you stand for nothing, you fall for everything. So I gotta stand for this.
No, that's completely fair. What else really bonkers or blows my mind? I think the 2 bye weeks thing makes sense because this isn't just for 2025. This is just in general. I don't want to see the NFL add any more games. I think that 17 is one too many. I thought 16 was the perfect number. But 17 we've all gotten used to. Man. Instead of, trying to eke out an extra game from these guys, give them an extra bye week. And you have your cake and eat it too. You get an extra week of regular season football, so you get more money from the TV networks. But you also let all these guys, your stars, like have a better chance of staying healthy because they get an extra week of rest. That makes a hell of a lot more sense than making them play 18 games. And, plus if if you're a wild card team who, wants to make it to the Super Bowl, that's 22 games you got to play. That's too many. So throw in the extra bye week. You can have your cake and eat it too. If you're the NFL, you get an extra week from Fox, CBS, NBC, an extra prime game if you want it. So like you're going to get all that extra money. You're going to get all the extra money from having an extra home game or, just for the owners, just having an extra game in general, getting that extra money from that makes so much more sense than to just make them play another additional game. But unfortunately, I don't think that my pleas are going to be listened to. I feel like in the next 5 years, we're going to have an 18 game schedule, which again, don't want. I think it makes much more sense just to have an extra bye week to give them the extra week of regular season without having to add another game.
I like the fact with 17 games too that no team can be 500. I like that you can't be perfect.
Although the Steelers try their damnest every year to do it.
They really do. They really try very hard.
The first year of it, they went 9-7-1. Like they were close, man. They were like, we're gonna do this. There's nothing you can do about it.
I do like that aspect of it. Also, if you push the regular season back a week, you then obviously have to push everything else back. Then you get President's Day after Super Bowl, which is basically your holiday
That
after the
makes
Super Bowl.
perfect sense.
It makes so much sense when it comes down to that. Also, I think the playoff format when there was 2 bye weeks was so much better than when there's only 1 bye week. Personally, I think that's.
How do I
think there's too many teams in the playoffs. I think there's too many teams in the playoffs, basically.
Well, there was the 1 year. What year was it? I think it was like 82. They had 16 teams in the playoffs, and then immediately we're like, actually, no, we're not going to do that ever again. They scrapped it. I think 7's fine. Like six again, like 16 games, 6 playoff teams was perfect. They didn't have to change anything, and they did because God forbid we have anything nice. But I'm okay with 7 for the most part because like we have seen a 7 seed win. We saw Green Bay dismantle the Cowboys. So like, it's not like completely improbable that a 7 seed could win. And like, I kind of like, I'll play devil's advocate a little bit. I like that there's only 1 bye week to the extent of like, it makes later season games mean a little bit more rather than, all right, the top 2 teams, we pretty much know who they're going to be. And we're going to get, 2 straight weeks where they play their starters the first half and then rest them the second half. So I kind of like that element of it a little bit. It makes the 1 seed mean a little bit more. And yeah, I think 7, I like it to an extent because especially like when you have in the AFC, especially because we're going to have even more young quarterbacks this year. And I think that the Patriots are going to take like a step forward. I don't know if they would be the 6 seed, but I'd like to see, the Patriots as a 7 seed facing, I don't know, Baltimore. I think that could be a game that we could go in and say, okay, the Patriots have a fighting shot here. So I don't mind the 7 seed and only 1 bye week too much.
I just worry that they're going to add another team to the playoffs, right? If they do add that,
I really hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and then you get to like half the league making the playoffs, and like that shouldn't happen. Like, look at how the NBA playoffs are set up. Like, there's not very many teams. If you include the play-in tournament now, like there's not very many teams that don't make the playoffs, and like
you have to be god awful not to play at least some sort of postseason game in the NBA. Yeah,
right, and that's not what I think that. The 6 playoff teams from each side, you get 12 playoff teams, and it feels like, if you made the playoffs, that was a really good year. Like you felt really good. You were a top 12 team in the NFL. That makes you feel good. 14 is still fine. Like you'd be like, oh yeah, we were top 14 team, made the playoffs, whatever. But I just do think that, the 2 bye weeks obviously would benefit the top 2 teams. I like what you said kind of about more incentivizing those later games. It is more to play for sure. As speaking from a Chiefs fan experience, and you're like, man, you really want that 1 seed, especially last year. The Chiefs had like a week 4 bye. I think it was week 6, but like they had a super early bye. You're like, yeah, Chiefs kind of really need this bye here, before if they want to make a run. But I do think that is a good incentivizer for playing your starters and being the 1 seed, everything like that. But I do think that I just don't want them to expand the playoffs so much. We're just like, okay, well, all but 2 teams are making it, and those are the 2 teams drafting 1 and 2. And we're going to do a play-in tournament for this, and then we'll do I think we could lose the plot, kind of like we've done with the international games. I think the plot could kind of be lost a little bit as well. But the playoffs, I think the way that they've got it set up good. It's just kind of the old nostalgia factor of like you just wish the things were the way they were when you were a kid. I think that's kind of how I feel about this.
I do too. And I think this one, for me in particular, makes a lot of sense, both for that nostalgia factor and just from an aesthetic feature altogether. Make the month of October Throwback month. So I think that there's a lot of vetted interest in this. So many teams, that have we see a few of them behind me right now, the Kelly Green Eagles, the Red Helmet Falcons, the old Broncos helmets, turn October into basically, them being able to wear Halloween costumes for the entire month and wear uniforms of yesteryear the entire month, and not just the teams, the broadcast too. Bring back old score bugs, bring back the way that things used to look in like 2007 for the month of October. I think it would be very fun for the Halloween time of year. And I think nostalgically speaking, for guys our age who grew up in that era, it would look awesome. And plus everything in the 90s looked better, as we've come to know, this minimalist era where things are just boring. I think bring back throwbacks for a month. It gives you 3 or 4 games for each team. I think that's a pretty good number, but doesn't, turn the NFL into like just a complete nostalgia thing throughout the entire season. So I think a month to do it, a month straight, fun throwbacks, fun like throwback aesthetics from the broadcast as well would be so fun.
Yep. I think that is a home run idea. Let's get Roger on the phone right now. I'll dial him up and we can give him this one. I would absolutely love that. And some of these throwback uniforms are better than the current uniforms I have now. Like
Absolutely.
the Seahawks uniforms, so much better. I remember when the Broncos, they were like, hey, here's our new uniforms. Everyone's like, these suck. And then like 15 minutes later, they're like, actually, here's the throwbacks. Please talk about these throwbacks. And look, people love a good throwback, and I think it's perfect. I think it's a perfect way to just kind of feed into the old and the young fan at the same time, right? Like the old fan or the middle-aged fan or the fan that just loves the older days are going to love those older jerseys of when they felt something as a kid, right? Like those are incredibly phenomenal. And to be a younger fan and see the throwback jerseys, you can look and gain an appreciation for them as well. I think that is a phenomenal idea. On the same vein, Color Rush Thursday has got to come back, right? I mean, like you got to do the Color Rush.
No. Oh, those are so bad, man.
But again, it goes right with the Thursday night aesthetic. It's with the Thursday night aesthetic. The football's bad. The uniforms are bad. It's all bad. You're on Prime. Just throw the Color Rushes on there and just play ball with Color Rush. That's what I think. I think Color Rush Thursday was way ahead of its time.
Oh man, I thought all of those without fail sucked. There was not a single good Color Rush uniform.
The Chiefs were just their regular uniforms. Like that's all it was. And then like the Jags had those hideous gold ones,
the mustard ones. Yeah.
I think the Titans red. What did they?
No, the Titans were just like the bright blue.
Oh, okay. There's one team that like it didn't really make sense. Maybe it was the Rams all yellow too. I think the Rams were
all yellow and the 49ers were all black with like red numbers and like it looked bad, man. It was not good.
Yeah.
I'm very anti-Color Rush uniform. I thought it was a good idea in theory. In practice, fucking terrible. Never do that shit again.
Well, look, I think Color Rush might have walked, so your throwback October idea could run. Truthfully,
it's a good idea, and somebody in the NFL offices had better see this and actually say, "Oh, you know what? That's a pretty decent plan. Maybe we should do it." That's why I have nothing but throwback helmets behind me. You know, it's nostalgia. By the way, I do have that. I have that awful Jaguars helmet right there. Here, I'll move the mic out of the way.
Oh my god, the gradient one?
Yeah.
Why did they think that was a good idea? That was one of the worst uniform redesigns of all time.
I gotta say, like 16-year-old me thought, "Oh, that's badass," and then very quickly I was like, "Oh wait, if it was supposed to be a Jaguar like coming out of the weeds, but like if that's the case, wouldn't the gradients be reversed where it's dark to light rather than light to?" I don't know. None of it made sense, and it was bad. Blake Bortles played on them a lot, and it was bad.
Blake Bortles was a dog, though. We're just going to wash over the fact that Blake Bortles was a dog. This is what happens. See, this is what happens on Verderam and I's podcast is we'll just find one topic. I'm sure he's like this with you as well.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like we talked about the 2011 Chiefs for 15 minutes. That team was god awful, by the way. And we mainly talked about the 2011 Chiefs Bears game where Tyler Palko threw a Hail
I was going to
Mary.
say Tyler Palko played a game against the Steelers that year on Sunday night. It's not good.
Hail Mary. That was the game winner at halftime. Hail Mary, game winner at halftime. Brian Urlacher swatted it down into maybe Terrence Copper's hands, and they scored a touchdown, and that proved to be the game-winning score. They won 10-3 against the Bears. An incredible game. But that's just what happens. It's like we'll see something and we'll just chase a squirrel for as long as it goes. But
no, that's fine. That's the best podcast, man. Like that's what makes it fun. Like in that same year, like Tyler Palko started a game for the Chiefs against the Steelers on Sunday night. The Steelers doing what the Steelers do, like kept it close. Like the Chiefs had a chance at the end, and Palko threw a pass intended for Dwayne Bowe, who jumped, saw, I think it was like Troy Polamalu coming, put his hands, and he's like, absolutely the hell not. And it got picked off, and Collinsworth is just crucifying Dwayne Bowe for not trying to make a catch. He's like, that's a business decision that Dwayne Bowe, that is not good. I was like, all right.
The game was, I just looked at the box score. We're doing this now. That game was 13-9. It ended 13.
So bad.
The Steelers scored all 13 of their points in the second quarter. Ben Roethlisberger, 21-31, 193 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Tyler Palko, 18 of 28, 167 yards, 3 picks.
If I'm correct, the person who scored the touchdown for Pittsburgh that day was, I want to say, Wesley Saunders, the tight end.
Let me see here. Yes, it was Wesley Saunders,
There we go.
2-yard pass from Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
5-play, 29-yard scoring drive.
Must have been
from
after
the
the Falco
Pittsburgh
pick.
Steelers. It would have to be after a pick. Well, the Chiefs went on a 13-play, 70-yard drive that ended in a Ryan Suck-up field goal.
Yeah, that was it. The Steelers that year were so weird because they had gone to the Super Bowl the year before, and I believe they didn't make the playoffs that year. I could be wrong about that. Don't quote me on that.
8-3 is what it looked like they were that year.
Okay, then they definitely made it to the playoffs.
Yeah. At the time of this game, I should say. Antonio Brown, your leading receiver, 4 receptions, 81 yards. Rashad Mendenhall, 17 carries, 57 yards.
The Chiefs' defense must have been at least pretty okay then.
I think they were like this was Romeo. I think Cornell was the DC because this was 11. So Haley would have gotten fired at the end of this year. Then Cornell took over. So Cornell had a pretty decent defense. And that's kind of why they gave him the head coach job the next year. And then it just did not work out at all in 2012. They had the number 1 pick in 2013. So they had a pretty decent defense, but Matt Castle has told me some Todd Haley stories, and those guys will just say
there's a pretty popular Todd Haley story that Matt Castle told about how like he pulled him and then he put it like it was a bunch of weird miscommunication stuff. So yeah, I mean
it was a mess back in the day.
I mean, there's plenty of Todd Haley, alleged stories in Pittsburgh as well with him and Ben not getting along. So
see, that's a great point. I didn't realize like that's how these two fan bases are kind of mixed and intertwined. Is Todd Haley, because Todd Haley, man, I've heard some stories about those days, and people think Chiefs fans have always had it good. No, man, the Todd Haley era was a rough era for Kansas City.
And that's why, like, for the most part, like, yeah, like I'm a Josh Allen guy and whatnot, but like Chiefs fans, for the most part, that I interact with, like, they're usually pretty good. Like, I like Chiefs fans as a whole. There's certain fan bases who I, for the most part, that I don't enjoy. Kansas City Chiefs fans, I've always, Cincinnati, Bengals fans, I haven't had much. I say that it sounds condescending, but like I have no problem with the Bengals because, like, as a Steelers fan growing up, they haven't hurt me, so I don't care about the Bengals too much.
That's fair.
Yeah. Like the Ravens, I'll always hate the Ravens, and like even like Cleveland a little bit, just because like I don't know, it's the Browns and what to hell with the Browns, especially after the Deshaun Watson stuff. I was like, all right, yeah, fuck the Browns.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, the Bengals, like I never had a reason, like a true reason to like despise them. You have more of a reason to despise them than I do. And they're playing.
Their social media fan base is exhausting, dude. That's really the only experience I've had with them is just the way that they like still every time Patrick Mahomes does something, they like to tie it back to Joe Burrow. You're just like, okay, guys, like let's cool. At least like with Josh Allen, he's won playoff games that like, and he's been really good and won an MVP, and like he's a phenomenal football player, and there's like lots of mutual respect between the two. I think fan bases of the Bills and the Chiefs. Like I think there's a lot of mutual respect there. Not with the Bengals and the Chiefs. Like it is one of those things where like we hate you, you hate us, and it is one of those on social media at least. Oh, I mean, not only do the fans chirp, but like the players are chirping at the Chiefs, and like it's one of those things where it all started when Justin Reed accidentally called him Tyler Higbee. I think it was I can't even remember who the tight end was. He accidentally called him Higbee. They played the Rams the week before, but he was trying to break down whoever the tight end. Hayden Hurst.
Was it Tyler Eifert?
No, I think I don't
remember. That feels too long. That feels too long ago for it to be Tyler Eifert.
Yeah. Wow, what a name. It all kind of started there, and then the players started chirping back and forth, the whole Burrowhead stuff. Eli Apple's kind of a piece of work to deal with when it comes to playing against him and chirping and everything.
Eli Apple is the definition of bench players talking like starters.
Oh yeah, and his mom was getting into it too. Eli Apple's mom was getting into going after the Chiefs. It's crazy. Like that was a rivalry that if you would have told me when the Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes, you'd be like, yeah, you guys are gonna hate the Cincinnati Bengals. I'd been like, why? Why would we hate the Bengals? They were so bad for so long. Also, they have the same GM since 1999. I didn't realize that until I recorded a podcast the other day. Since 1999, their GM's been the same.
I mean, Mike Brown's kind of the guy running the show, but who's the who the hell is they have who's the lady that kind of runs their contract stuff? Her name is escaping me at the moment. Duke Tobin's the GM, right?
Yes. Tobin's the GM, and he's been there since 99, which I was
that's
floored.
crazy.
Yeah. legitimately floored, but it makes sense with the way that the organization runs, where they just like don't fire anybody because they can't.
Marvin Lewis is there for 800 years and they didn't win anything.
He made like one playoffs or two playoffs, and they lost immediately when they made the playoffs. Yeah,
didn't win a playoff game in the entirety that he was there. So like, I don't know. As a Steelers fan, like the Steelers are starting to become the Bengals, where they haven't won a playoff game in 8 years, but they're not going to fire Mike Tomlin because they're cheap and don't want to pay him to not be there. So that's a whole other conversation for another time, though. It is quite the pain in the ass. That is very funny, though. The Bengals Chiefs rivalry, like I said, very much more of a thing than like a Steelers Bengals rivalry. It's just not really there. Buddy, this is a lot of fun. What can people check out on the KC Sports Network from you?
Man, we got all kinds of podcasts ripping and rolling on the KC Sports Network feed. The podcast that Matt Verderham and I do called That Football Show, Wednesdays and Fridays every morning there, 6 a.m. That podcast will go out. You can find us on YouTube as well, KC Sports Network. Just got to search KC Sports Network, KCSN in your feeds, and that's where you will find our show there as well.
All right. Like I said, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Go and watch the comeback and watch the tape. Josh Allen's best versus 2024. That's on the channel. It came out this morning. Written work. We're going to be doing top 36 quarterbacks of 2025. Third straight year I've done that. So that'll be on USA Today very soon. And yeah, follow me on Twitter at JBaileyNFL for all of the upcoming stuff. This is a lot of fun, buddy. Hopefully we do it again very, very soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We'll be back very soon to react to the schedule release on the Pump Fake. Take care.